Ever wish there was like a, I don't know, a shortcut
Mm-hmm.
to happiness and success?
Yeah.
Well, today, get this, we're diving into a book called 59 Seconds by this guy, Richard Wiseman.
Right.
And it's all about, get this, quick, like really quick science-backed techniques you can use to just like improve your life.
I like it.
Yeah, so forget that fluffy self-help stuff.
Yeah.
This is all about what actually like scientifically works.
Right.
And trust me, we've got the backstage pass for you guys on this one.
I think what's really refreshing about Wiseman's approach is that he actually uses scientific research
Yes.
to debunk a lot of those common self-help myths we've all heard a million times.
It's true, yeah. It like take that old saying, money can't buy happiness.
Right.
We've all heard it, but Wiseman actually backs it up with like hard data
Yeah.
showing that once you've got like your basic needs met,
Right.
more money doesn't automatically equal more happiness.
Yeah. It's such a relief to see some actual science behind that, isn't it?
Oh, totally. But then that begs the question, like, what does lead to that, that lasting happiness?
Right. Right.
And that's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay.
Because it's not about like winning the lottery or getting that corner office.
Right.
Wiseman actually points to experiences
Yeah.
as being a much bigger factor in lasting happiness than possessions.
Yeah. It's like that difference between like getting a brand new car
Okay.
versus going on like that dream vacation you've always wanted to take.
Yes.
Like one might give you a temporary thrill,
Sure.
but the other, that experience, that memory
Yeah.
that sticks with you and like it shapes your happiness in a much deeper way.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
Right.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But then he takes it even further, which I love, with this idea of like intentional versus circumstantial change.
Okay.
So it's not just about like good things happening to you,
Right.
but about you actively choosing activities and experiences that, bring you joy.
Yes, exactly. It's like, that saying, you make your own luck.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yes.
Instead of just like sitting around waiting for happiness to find you,
Right.
you're consciously creating it.
Okay.
So imagine the difference between like getting an unexpected bonus at work,
Okay.
which is nice, but it's kind of fleeting,
Yeah.
versus you finally booking that trip you've been planning for months.
Right.
Like that deliberate choice, that pursuit of something you're really passionate about,
Yes.
that's where the real happiness boost comes in.
That really resonates with me. Like, I'm hearing you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, now, are you ready for like a real mind bender, though?
Yeah.
One of the core ideas in 59 Seconds is that happiness isn't just a result of success, but it can actually cause it. It's like, putting the cart before the horse,
Right.
but like in a good way.
Yeah. In a good way. And there's actually like science to back this up.
Right.
Like this whole fake it till you make it idea.
I see.
Wiseman points to studies that show just the act of like acting happy,
Interesting.
even if you don't necessarily feel it at first, can actually increase your chances of success.
Wow.
So think about it. When you're smiling, you're projecting positivity.
Yes.
You automatically become more likable, more persuasive,
Right.
which can lead to, some pretty positive outcomes in life, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And then it's like this awesome feedback loop.
Right.
Where acting happy leads to success, which then leads to, more genuine happiness.
Exactly.
And what I love about 59 Seconds is that it's not just about like, these big sweeping changes.
Yeah.
It's packed with these little, almost like quirky tips
Yes.
that have the science to back them up.
Totally. Like, okay, this one's based on the scarcity principle. Ever notice how cookies from an almost empty jar just taste better?
Oh, 100%.
Right.
But how does that principle apply to, say, achieving our goals or finding more joy in everyday life?
So the principle basically suggests that we tend to value things more
Okay.
when they're scarce or when we have like limited access to them.
Okay.
So instead of like overwhelming yourself with a million different options,
Right.
what if you just focused on like a few key priorities?
Okay.
You might find that you appreciate those goals even more.
Right.
And you're much more motivated to achieve them.
That makes sense.
It's about like really appreciating what you have
Yeah.
and what you're choosing to focus on
Right.
rather than constantly chasing after more.
Less is more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. Less is more. Right.
All right.
It's a good philosophy, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of refreshing, though, one of the things I really like about Wiseman's whole approach here is that he doesn't shy away from like challenging those self-help things that we just kind of take for granted.
Right. Right.
Like we've all heard that, rewarding yourself can be like a good motivator.
Yeah, totally. It seems to make sense.
Yeah.
But Wiseman actually, he kind of throws us a bit of a curveball on this one.
Okay.
His research actually shows that if you reward someone for something that they already enjoy doing,
what?
It can actually backfire.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it can actually decrease their intrinsic motivation.
So you're telling me, like, promising myself a celebratory latte after I finish this chapter could actually backfire?
It might, yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's not that you should, like, ditch rewards altogether.
Okay.
It's more about, like, the timing and the approach.
Okay.
So think of it this way.
Okay.
Unexpected rewards tend to be a lot more powerful than predictable ones.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, like, that unexpected bonus you get at work.
Yes.
Way more exciting than your regular paycheck.
100%, yeah. So maybe instead of, like, setting up this whole rigid reward system for myself, it's more about those little surprises.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the spontaneous celebrations that keep things, like, interesting.
Exactly.
And keep that motivation going.
Keep the spark alive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about happiness.
Right.
We've talked about motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're getting into,
Let's do it.
The art of persuasion.
Okay.
Is everyone ready for this?
I'm ready.
Because Wiseman has some seriously, like, intriguing and, frankly, like, counterintuitive techniques.
Yeah, this is where it gets good.
Yes.
This was a real head scratcher at first.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah, hit me.
Getting someone to do you a favor can actually make them like you more.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's called the Ben Franklin effect.
Hold on.
It's a real thing.
That sounds like the opposite of what I should be doing.
I know, it's so weird.
Well, if I want to, like, get someone to like me,
I
should ask them to do me a favor.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Okay, so it all comes down to this idea of cognitive dissonance.
Okay.
Which is basically like that mental discomfort we feel.
Okay.
When our actions and our beliefs don't line up.
Okay.
So let's say, like, you ask someone for a small favor.
Okay.
And they agree to do it.
Okay.
Their brain is then going to be like, well, hold on. If I'm doing this favor for this person, I must actually, like, kind of like them.
Interesting.
Even if they didn't really have any strong feelings about them one way or the other before.
Okay.
It's like we subconsciously, like, adjust our attitudes to match our behaviors.
Okay.
It's really weird.
So if I want to, like, you know, make a good first impression on someone, maybe I should ask them for a small favor instead of, like, going overboard trying to, like, impress them.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
The key is to keep it small. Something that they're not going to be, like, you know, totally weirded out by.
Right, yeah, I don't want to scare them away.
Exactly.
Okay.
Small favors.
Small steps, subtle shifts, I like it.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but I've definitely had those moments where I feel like literally everyone is watching my every move.
Oh, yeah.
Judging, like, every little stumble.
Totally.
Like, I'm talking about, like, that time I tripped going up the stairs at that conference.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. I swear I could feel all eyes on me.
The dreaded spotlight effect.
It's a real thing, right?
It's a real thing, and it's so common.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just me being, like, paranoid.
No. We all do it.
Okay, but why do we do that to ourselves?
Well, Wiseman says it's tied to, like, our fear of embarrassment.
Okay.
And just, like, our innate human desire to, like, fit in.
Okay.
We automatically assume that. Like, our mistakes are way more noticeable than they actually are.
Yeah.
And that everybody else is just as focused on them as we are.
Right.
When in reality, they probably didn't even notice.
Okay, so how do we break free from that feeling then?
Well, Wiseman doesn't really offer a magic cure for it.
Okay.
But he says just understanding that, like, it's a real thing that we all experience it can be incredibly freeing.
Okay.
So, like, the next time you have that, you know, that surge of self-consciousness, that urge to just, like, disappear.
Yes.
Just remind yourself.
Well, like,
people are generally way more focused on their own stuff than on your every move.
Okay, that is good advice.
Right.
Good advice.
Like, it's helpful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And speaking of, you know, those social situations, Wiseman actually offers some really, like, practical tips for making, you know, that good first impression. And it all comes down to something we probably never even think about, which is strategic seating.
Strategic seating. I like it.
Right. When you picture like a power position.
Okay.
What do you think of? You probably think of like the head of the table.
Right. Head of the table. Yeah.
Right. Well, Wiseman actually challenges that assumption.
Really?
Yeah. He suggests that actually positioning yourself in the middle can make you appear more confident and persuasive.
That's so interesting because it's not about being like the center of attention.
You're right. It's like subtle.
Yeah, it's subtle.
It's like, I'm here.
I'm here. I'm present.
Yes. I'm present. I'm accessible.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm also like, I'm here too.
Yeah, I'm a part of this.
Right.
Don't forget about me.
Exactly, yeah.
But I'm also here with you.
Right. It's those subtle adjustments that can make like a big difference.
It's like you're kind of like,
sending these subtle signals with like where you are in the room.
Exactly.
It's wild.
It's like we're always communicating.
Right.
Even when we don't realize it.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of, choices and how we're communicating.
Right.
Wiseman also goes into like some fascinating research about how our environment can actually like influence our actions without us even realizing it.
It's crazy how much our surroundings can really affect us.
Yeah. And this is where things get like really practical, I think, for like applying this stuff to our everyday lives.
Totally. Yeah. Like he talks about things like the shape of our drinking glasses.
Okay.
And how that can actually like impact how much we consume.
What?
Yeah. So apparently we tend to pour less into tall, narrow glasses.
Interesting.
Compared to short, wide ones.
Okay.
Even when the volume is like exactly the same.
It's those optical illusions, right?
Exactly.
Like our brains basically get tricked into thinking we're drinking more than we actually are.
Exactly.
Okay. So if I'm trying to like, cut back on my like sugary drinks or something.
Right.
I should maybe ditch those like
the tumblers.
Yeah, those tumblers and like get some highball glasses.
Get the tall, skinny ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Right.
And it's not just glasses though, right?
No, it goes way beyond that.
Okay.
Like Wiseman also talks about just the power of like moving tempting foods out of sight.
Oh, 100%.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. Yes.
As they say.
If I have like a plate of cookies on the counter.
Oh, yeah.
I am way more likely to like graze on them throughout the day.
For sure.
Than if they're like tucked away in the pantry.
Exactly. Because it's about like creating a little bit of distance between you and the temptation. So it's just that much harder to like give in to that impulse.
Okay. I like it. Small adjustments, big impact.
Exactly.
What other like environmental tweaks does he suggest?
Okay, get this. He talks about how even like the size of our dishware can play a role.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently using smaller plates and bowls can actually trick our brains into thinking we're eating a larger portion than we actually are.
Wow.
It's all about perception.
That's wild. It really makes you think about like how much of our like behavior is influenced by these like subtle environmental cues that we're not even aware of.
Totally. And it's like, it's fascinating because it speaks to this like power of understanding these like little quirks of human behavior.
Okay, yeah.
And 59 seconds is full of like these really clever little hacks.
Right.
But it also goes like a little deeper.
Yeah.
He encourages us to like reflect on some bigger questions too.
Yes, I was going to say I love that part of the book where he has that exercise where he asks you to like consider how you would want to be remembered.
Yes.
Like after you're gone.
Oh, it's such a good exercise.
Right.
It's so powerful.
It really makes you think about like your values and what actually matters.
What's important, what your legacy is going to be.
Exactly. It's like he's giving you like a roadmap for like living a more intentional and meaningful life.
Totally.
It's really cool. And speaking of roadmaps, he also offers this really like practical tip for tackling procrastination.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to like those big daunting tasks. It's called like mental unpacking. Have you heard of this?
Oh, mental unpacking. Yes. And it's so helpful.
Okay.
Because we often like underestimate how long something is actually going to take because we don't like fully account for all the little steps involved.
Okay, so instead of me writing down finished presentation, my to-do list, I should actually break it down into all of those like smaller tasks.
All those little steps.
Yeah, so like research, outline, design the slides, practice.
Yes, exactly. It's like you're creating like a little roadmap for that bigger task.
Got it.
So it feels much more manageable.
It takes away that like, you know.
That overwhelm.
Yes, that overwhelm where you're like, I don't even know where to start.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
Right.
You know, I have to say, like, diving into 59 seconds has been like really refreshing, I think, because it's not often you find like a book that manages to be like both, you know, entertaining, but also like packed with practical advice.
It's a rare find.
It is a rare find.
For sure.
So what would you say, like, the biggest takeaway from our, like, deep dive today has been, like...
Oh, that's a good question.
What do we want our listener to, like, take away from this conversation?
I think for me, it's Wiseman's emphasis on action.
Okay.
Like, yes, 59 seconds is full of, like, fascinating insights, but he really stresses that it's about, like, taking action.
Okay.
It's about, like, putting these insights into practice, you know, making those small but consistent changes that can lead to like big shifts in our like happiness and success.
It's about taking action. I love that.
Yes.
And he leaves us with such like a thought-provoking question, a call to action, which is...
Let's hear it.
What's that one small positive action you've been putting off?
Ooh.
What if today was the day you finally went for it?
Now that's something to think about.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for this like deep dive into the world of like quick and quirky self-improvement.
I like it.
Until next time.